Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Delegate number 1, Raquel Amaruso. My topic this evening is, you are a mother in today's world. What would be your main focus on the upbringing of your children? When we look at children of past and present, there's a vast difference. Today, there are multiple distractions, including fragmented homes, social medias, and technology. Sociologist Travis Hershey's social bond theory, 1969, states, elements of social bonding include attachment to families, commitment to social norms and institutions, involvement in activities, and the belief that these things are important. As a mother, I believe that these 4 elements of bonding can develop my main focus on the upbringing of my children. Firstly, attachment. Attachment involves the relationship between parents and their children. This bond, I believe, is the most critical influence of both. Parenting has an impact, a very strong impact, I say, on a child's educational and mental health. As a mother, I would utmost try my best to have an open relationship with my children so they can feel free to approach me with any problems or concerns they might be having. Secondly, commitment. As a mother in today's world, I would also ensure that my children and I have a committed relationship. My commitment to them is to be an example to them by leading an acceptable and proper life. What I expect from them is to do the same in terms of loyalty, getting good grades, staying away from delinquency. Such would be their commitment. Thirdly, involvement. I would take an active role as a mother to be consistently involved to my children's life by attending important occasions. For example, graduation and PTA meetings. I would also actively involve myself in their schoolwork by dedicating time to inquire about their day at school and if any help needed in homework. Introducing my children to God is very important. I would achieve this by taking them to church at a tender age and remind them of the importance of praying. This would inflict the belief that these previous elements are important. Thank you.
Recently, an elderly woman was mauled to death by pit bulls. Do you believe that the authorities are doing their best to avert repeated situations like this? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am delegate number 2, and this is a topic which I will be presenting to you all tonight. When faced with this question, I must say that I am the firm belief that the local authorities are most definitely not doing their best to avert repeated situations like this. Firstly, if we recall, according to the Trinidad Express newspaper, on August 26th of June 2012, 84-year-old grandmother Lillian Bunsey was mauled to death by a pit bull at Marval. No criminal action was taken against anyone in that case. Where was the justice? Do you think that was right? Apart from that, according to the Daily Newsday, in June 2012, a 10-year-old girl by the name of Jean Baptiste was attacked by a Rottweiler from nearby while taking an evening stroll. Luckily, she was not killed, so family pressed charges against the owner, who agreed to pay medical bills, whom after one payment claimed to not be able to pay anymore. The family sought legal advice on the matter when VP of the TNT Canine Advocates tried to use this as an example for the authorities to change or completely rewrite the Dangerous Dogs Act, which became law on August 1st, 2012. The Dangerous Dogs Act requires owners of dangerous dogs to be at least 18 years old, and there is a plethora of financial responsibilities that comes with it. However, it only applies to Class A dogs, which includes the Pit Bull Terrier, Fila Brasileiro, Japanese Tosa, or any dog bred from that listed. Hence, the law was inadequate when it came to the case of Jean Baptiste, as the dog which attacked her was not one of the listed. Coincidentally, based on the law, no serious charges can be made to dog owners who attack citizens unless the dog is a Class A dog as categorized by the authorities. If you ask me, there is a lot more that could be done to alleviate this problem by the authorities. And in conclusion, I restate my stance that I most definitely do not believe that the authorities are doing their best to avert the problem of vicious dog attacks in Trinidad. Thank you.
A pleasant good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, fellow delegates and specially invited guests. I am Charis Lapump, delegate number 3. This afternoon, I am giving an exposition based on the cause of higher success rates at denominational schools as that of government schools. There are 3 major factors for the success of students that graduate from denominational schools. These factors are as follows. Denominational institutions acceptance rate of students are minor. A sufficient amount of capital is required. Psychological evaluation given by teachers. The most obvious discrepancy between both organizations comes down to cold hard cash. Parents are paying a large amount for their children to obtain a school experience that would mold them towards a successful future. Denominational institutions, class sizes range from 15 to 18, whereas government school classes size are 23 and upwards. Smaller classes are particularly effective at raising achievement levels. The quality of relationship between students and teachers are improved in smaller class size. As a result of denominational schools being paid for organizations, teachers are equipped to render full services to their students. For example, assistance with homework and individual attention when needed. With these 3 major advantages of denominational schools, students are equipped with requisite skills to empower them for a successful future. As I conclude, I solely believe that true success of a child's future begins at home with adequate parental development. Each parent plays a significant role in the upbringing of their offspring. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, judges, viewers, and my fellow delegates. I am Aisha Thomas, delegate number 4. My topic presentation today is one that has been causing a lot of concerns with our country, where school violence with our youth are concerned. According to progressive education founders, John Dewey states that school is primarily a social institution whose central purpose is not science nor literature, but the child's own social activities. Causes are community environment. As with schools and families, community can also neglect children. If so, this can develop into school violence. Environmental impact, race and society, income levels and other measurable components have been singled out by public health experts as risk factors that can contribute to antisocial behavior. Family environments. Although our culture expects family to deal with childhood problems, modern society makes it difficult for parents to meet all their children's needs. Disintegration of family life and moral values. The current economy often demands that both parents are employed. More and more children are being raised by single parents, including teenage mothers, some neglected and physically abused. Ideally, parents are supposed to nurture and reinforce positive behavior. If failed to do so, children develop violent behavioral patterns. this causes damage to a child's self-esteem, and as it says, one's the products of one's environment. In conclusion, school violence would show as a result of physical and sexual abuse, depression, disposition, the experience of lost loved ones, and zero tolerance. As the late Rash Shorty I quoted, you push the creator out, you don't want his name in your mouth, you take him out of the school curriculum, now you reap the fruits of your actions. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Delegate number 5, Chelsea Chichester. Today, I have the opportunity to explain to you all what I believe can be done to deter bullying in local schools. Over the past couple of years, bullying has evolved into one of the biggest epidemics that schools, parents, and children are facing today. I am of the opinion that the nation's students should be made aware of the serious effects on bully and bullied victims. The school should launch an awareness campaign where it will start by identifying a bully and who is being bullied. This campaign will also encourage bullied victims to speak up about being bullied and who are the ones that are bullying them. These children should then be evaluated by welfare officers and guidance counselors. Based on the evaluation, the child who is being bullied will be able to get counseling sessions, and the bully will be placed into a correction center. These centers should then be run by men and women who are in the protective services. The children will be required to stay in the center for no less than 2 weeks. According to what the child has done, that will determine if they shall stay any longer. In these centers, the children will learn discipline, which is the key factor of the program. They will also be exposed to cadet training so that they can learn how to become good citizens and develop moral values. Education is a major priority of the center. There will also be tutors at the center who will teach the children. Religious instruction will also be held every day. The center will also have psychiatrists on board so that they can have private sessions with the children. These sessions will allow the psychiatrist to figure out what causes the child to become a bully. After knowing the cause, they will then be able to address the problem. Parents will be allowed to visit their children, but they won't be able to give them any gadgets, such as cell phones and laptops, because they don't want the children to get distracted. In conclusion, I strongly believe that this correction center is the start of a bully-free school, society, and household. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure that I, Karen Lewis, was given this opportunity to speak on the topic of self-confidence and self-worth, highlighting what can be done to encourage the feeling in young women, with reference to my own life experience. Firstly, I must say that there is a breakdown in society, and because of this, women are greater subjected to ridicule where their image is concerned. Is love lost regarding our women? What are we doing to encourage them to be virtuous? We need to love. For with love for God, each other, and oneself is the first step in the development of self-confidence and self-worth in women, who are the future mothers and educators to create a better Trinidad and Tobago. In addition, I believe that parents and guardians are the first cultivators. Good parenting helps to create a positive self-image in an individual. Personally, from my life experience, I have realized that self-confidence and self-worth are directly related to self-esteem, in which neither are determined by how beautiful, intelligent, or well-accomplished a person may be. However, for me, it is quite the opposite, as because of these qualities, I am beautiful, intelligent, and well-accomplished. These feelings begin with how much you love, trust, and appreciate yourself. Finally, I propose that these values be introduced
or continue to be incorporated in all secondary schools' curriculum. Most of my social relationship began formulating at this point. Although it may have seemed simple then, life-changing decisions had to be made. Thanks to our moral education class, through testimonials and workshops, I was taught valuable lessons, which I am now able to share with other young women. Therefore, it is because of this I am striving for greatness, less impressionable, and believed in me. Thank you.
Pleasant evening, everyone. I am Delegate number 7, Tiana Robinson. My topic for this evening is, would you describe today's youths as generation lost? Yes, I think today's youths are generation lost because we are dealing with a lot of social issues such as teenage pregnancies, gang rapes in school, child pornography, bullying in school, and so forth. Most times, our youths are left unsupervised, causing them to fall into the hands of gangs, peer pressure, and social media networks. In families, we have both parents working Sunday to Sunday due to the current ongoing economic struggle, and we have single parents doing 2 and 3 jobs to pay their bills. It's a sad reality, but when we have no parental guidance and no corporal punishment in schools anymore, the children have to fend for themselves, and they believe in their mind that they don't need anyone telling them what to do since they are always on their own anyway. If we look at our generations in the past, we would see the entire village took responsibility for their children's upbringing. And they had a lot of focus on church, for church plays a key role in teaching a child moral values and disciplining them in the early stages of their life. It is said that if you teach a child the way they should go, when they grow old, they will not depart from it. Today's generation has no respect for authority. Sex is no longer sacred to them and is considered the end thing. Stealing, bullying, incest, and all these stem from lack of parental guidance, lack of corporal punishment, lack of self-worth, and a dying scream for attention. Until we stop trying to follow suit of other countries, today's generation will continue to deteriorate. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Tanisha Batiste, Delegate number 8. My topic presentation today, what can be done to bridge the apparent gap between denominational schools and government schools regarding examination success? Fact, fiction, myth, or reality? Balance is the key. There has been an ongoing debate regarding the apparent gap between the examination success of denominational schools and government schools throughout our country. I, however, am of the opinion that there are several contributing factors as to why the gap exists. These include discipline, parental support, and involvement, and also the co-curricular programs which are offered at the denominational schools. The culture of the denominational schools is structured in such a way that they cater for the holistic development of their pupils, preparing them for successful entry into the global community. This is done not only by focusing on nurturing them for academic success, but also fostering their physical, emotional, and more, so their spiritual development, which lends itself to high levels of discipline and dedication. Within these schools, all the stakeholders, students, educators, and parents are pursuing the same goal. Whereas within the government schools, although they too focus on the delivery of the curriculum geared towards examination success, there are not many programs, especially co-curricular activities, being offered. And in the cases where they do exist, for example, the religious instructions, they are optional. With many of the students choosing not to participate in these activities, parental support and involvement is also much lower as to compared to those of the denominational schools. In order to bridge the gap, the government schools would have to adopt the principles and best practices of the denominational schools were applicable. In trying to adopt the culture of these denominational schools, it would assist them in developing their changes holistically as well. Remember, the seeds that are sown will produce good results once nurtured. Thank you.
Good evening, judges, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends. I'm delegate number 9, Tammy Waltris. My presentation topic is, who do you think has a greater impact on a child's upbringing? A parent or a teacher? I vehemently believe that a parent has a greater impact on a child's upbringing than the teacher. Parents are not only responsible to provide their children with material things, but to love, educate, discipline, and instill moral and spiritual values. Therefore, when we speak about love, a child's first point of socialization begins in the home. Parents are the child's first playmate. He delights at the sound of your voice, the sight of your face, and the touch of your hand. A parent's role in their child's learning evolves as the children grow. But one thing remains constant. Parents are role models. Parental attitude towards education can inspire their children to take charge of their own education, thus pursuing lifelong learning. Research has shown human brain development is proven that parents truly are their children's first teachers. Shaw, 1997. What the child learns at home, they practice in school. You will remember Granny used to say, charity begins at home and ends abroad. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, parents are the children's first teacher. They play a pivotal role in influencing the child's future. Therefore, parents should be held accountable for their children. Additionally, be responsible parents. Take action. Encourage, support, and teach your child all the positives of life so they can contribute to society. By extension, have the greatest future. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am delegate number 10, Chanel Lam. I will be answering the question, has the presence of churches in our communities lost its relevance? No, I do not believe that the presence of churches in our communities have lost its relevance. Firstly, we would have to ask the question, if there were no churches in our communities, would they be missed? My answer to this question would definitely be yes, they will be missed. It would seem as if the churches have lost its relevance because of the irreverence and lack of priority shown by the very said persons who profess to be the upholders of the same. The purpose of the church in the community is to encourage and foster both moral and spiritual values, which is paramount to placing God at the center of it all. The majority of people tend to turn to God only in their time of turmoil. While doing this is not wrong, communication with God should be kept constantly through both the good and bad times in one's life. No matter what the situation, people always seem to find their way back into a church or a church-like environment to seek relief and a sense of hope. Churches also provide youths with various opportunities which keeps them engaged in positive activities, giving them the option of where their time should be spent, and they can do positive acts instead of plotting crimes or scheming. Therefore, as I see it, the presence of churches will always be relevant in the community as long as the human race stands. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ryan Fraser, delegate number 11. And I am answering the question, in your opinion, give a general theory explaining the impact of social media on the current young generation and their relationship with authorities from the pre-social media boom era. Our youths now love luxury. They have bad manners, contempt for authority, and show disrespect for their elders. They love chatter in the place of exercise. Children have begun to be the tyrants, not the slaves of their household. They no longer rise when elders enter the room. They contradict their parents, chatter before company, and gobble up their food at the table. This quote has been linked to Socrates. However, this is not true. Its original author, Kenneth John Freeman, wrote this quote for his Cambridge dissertation, which was published in 1907. What can we gather from this quote? Are we lost in a sea of technology? Yes, I think so. I believe that technology has changed who we are as a people. How we think, act, communicate, grow, and develop is all affected by social media and technology. Even with its benefits, these technological advances also have negative effects. Our youth are becoming more aggressive and angry, showing less empathy and unwillingness to help others. Sexualized content and violence are associated with and has induced poor attitudes towards women, increase in rape myth acceptance, and increase in violence against one another. Along with these examples, the effects of long-term usage and overexposure to social media can have serious internal consequences. Basic cognitive processes can be altered or damaged. Attentional skills are also affected, and emotional and behavioral disorders are also developed. These negative effects are very evident in today's world. Children and young adults have no respect for authority figures and elders. Rebelling can be seen as a new trend as we ignore rules and laws, participating in illegal acts, taking pride in doing so, and adopting a careless attitude. It can be concluded that this behavior has been predicted from many years ago. Why hasn't it stopped? What can be done to prevent this in the future? Are we able to part with our technological luxuries to ensure a better future? Think about it.
Good evening, distinguished judges, ladies and gentlemen. I am Renee Crystal Grant, delegate number 12. My topic presentation is based on why government ministers should be treated in a stricter manner than regular citizens by authorities because of their office. The word government refers to an agency or body with the authority to control and direct the affairs of a country. Public officials, such as government ministers, should be treated in a stricter manner than regular citizens by authorities, not only because of their offices, but for the specific reasons. Government ministers are the cornerstone of good governance and democracy, having a responsibility to Trinidad and Tobago government and its citizens to place loyalty to the Constitution, laws, and ethical standards above private gain. They must have integrity, professionalism, respect, honesty, fairness, collaboration, and effective cooperation, meeting the challenges of the future, working together towards common goals, of which they must not make any abusive, ironical, threatening, insulting, or offensive statements or gestures to or about another person. Treating all people with respect, dignity, and fairness is fundamental to relationships with the public and contributes to a safe and healthy work environment that promotes engagement, openness, and transparency. The diversity of the people and the ideas they generate are the source of ministers' innovation. I close by stating government ministers are all responsible for contributing to a culture of extreme excellency.